is an abnormality. Cerebral palsy is a condition in humans that causes problems with posture and muscle tone. Because it occurs during birth, children with the condition commonly struggle to have a normal life and may drop out of school very often if their parents are not committed to taking care of them and giving them the needed special attention. And as we mark World Cerebral Palsy Day today, JoyNews Upper East Regional Correspondent Albert Sori takes us to Senegal, where a child rights NGO, Afrikids Ghana, is helping children with cerebral palsy to gain back movement in some parts of their body.
5-year-old Emmanuel spent the first 4 years of his life without the use of his limbs. Affected by cerebral palsy at birth, he could not move his hands and legs. Cerebral palsy, commonly referred to as CP, affects normal movement in different parts of the body and has many degrees of severity. It causes problems with posture, a person's manner of walking, muscle tone, and coordination of movement.
So she doesn't talk, she cannot walk, even how to get up. He was not able to get up. So through there we have been coming here gradually. He was able to get up. Even the hand, it was affected with the hand and then the leg. So through there.
So he couldn't move his hand?
No, he couldn't move his hand. And then the leg too. So when we...
Rose Achare-Basam, Emmanuel's grandmother, brings him to the Afrikids Child Rights Center here at Senegal in the Kasna-Nankana West District, where physiotherapy trainings are held for children with cerebral palsy. The aim is to, as much as possible, help the children to gain some, if not all, their movements back. Emmanuel joined the program about a year ago, and according to his grandmother, his ability to move on his own has improved drastically.
The time we came here, he can't even stand. So when we came, we started standing, moving the leg, the hand, and then started moving some things like what not. So actually, when we came here, it's improving time.
Evelyn here is also supporting her sister's son, who has cerebral palsy, so that he may be able to move about on his own. She tells JoyNews the boy's condition is improving. Linda Kugure's story is not too different.
Those days, you cannot even stand up or walk. But just so far as being here, you can now walk and speak small. So I can see changes, a lot of changes here. So I started working 3 months ago.
Linda Kugure's story is not too different. Her son also suffered cerebral palsy and could not move so much by himself for the first 7 months after he was born. She tells me the boy's condition had been worsening until she was recommended to the Afrikids Child Rights Center here at Senegal. Her son was able to stand on his own for the first time when he was 4 years old. Senegal is one of many places in the Upper East region that used to be known for the belief that children with cerebral palsy were spirits. In some instances, such children were even killed. Afrikids Ghana, a child rights NGO, implemented a project that helped to eliminate that belief, and the town declared an end to the spirit child phenomenon in the year 2013. This physiotherapy program at the Afrikids Child Rights Center aims to help cerebral palsy children to live normal lives. This way, the people of this area will be further convinced that cerebral palsy children are as normal as everyone else. David Poilua is Programs Director at Afrikids Ghana.
That was a condition that was very difficult for us, for the people to consider it as a health condition, not a curse that has been put on the particular family and so on. So we felt that there was a need for us to start something, a way of demonstrating to the community members, demonstrating to parents, especially parents with children of cerebral palsy, that this condition was not actually what they were thinking. It has no spiritual linkages. Okay. And we will want to particularly mention the Regional Health Directorate of the Ghana Health Services and also the district health management teams, as well as the nurses and midwives that work at the various CHIPS compounds. They are the ones who help us with the identification of children with this condition at very early stages. They take their records, they help us do the home visitations, and they are also supporting with the training that we give to the children.
William Ayambire is a physiotherapist here at the Afrikids Child Rights Center at Cerebral. With his expertise, he uses cardboards to make the devices for doing physio training for cerebral palsy children.
I make devices for the children to make a training program for them. And the devices alone make the children to be active in walking, sitting, and then standing. If any child is so floppy, through the training, we use the devices by sitting them first, from sitting to crawling, from crawling to standing, from standing to walking. I think last year alone I had about children who can sit without a support, 24. Then those who were walking was also 14.
In the last 3 years, many cerebral palsy children from within and outside this community have been brought to this center to get help.
Over a 2-3 year period, we've been able to work with over 60 children, and all the 60 children that we are referring to have seen massive improvement in their health status. Their parents are now even more happy, and they are convinced that the message that we presented to them, that this condition was mainly a health-related condition, was really true, and that we're not just deceiving them, because they have realized that with the community-based rehabilitation system we've put in place, the assistive devices that we've been able to procure for them, the regular training and counseling that we give to the children, and also the training we've given to the parents in terms of how to take care of the nutritional care of this category of children, has improved drastically their health situation, to the extent that some of the children have actually gone back to school and are living normal lives.
A facility similar to this one will today be opened by Afrikids Ghana in another community in this area as part of activities to mark the World Cerebral Palsy Day. But what is the message that they want to send across as a child rights organization on a day like this?
By the nature of the condition, cerebral palsy, it has caused a lot of, there's been so much silence over this condition. And from an African perspective, we will want to describe the silence from policymakers, policy implementers, and even civil society organizations as some form of neglect on this condition, and for that matter, people who are suffering, children who are suffering from this condition. The reason why we are putting out this position is that we are not convinced that there is a solid policy that provides guidelines in terms of how children with cerebral palsy should be supported. We do not even seem to have a system where health workers who want to specialize in terms of how to take care of children with cerebral palsy could go for some form of training. We are not aware of also community preparedness or readiness of community members to support these children through community-based rehabilitation. And so this group of unfortunate children who have found themselves in this unfortunate situation are left to their own fate. Policy-wise, as a country, we're doing very little for these children. Socially, what we are only doing to the children and their parents who find themselves in this situation is to stigmatize them and to laugh at them. This we find very unfortunate. That as a group of people, our responsibility should be in supporting the less fortunate in our society.
For JoyNews, Albert Sorry, Cerebral, Upper East Region.
Oh, Richie. It's just what? Starting guy. Which one? How are you?
All right, so Albert Sorry filing that report for us. Don't forget, today's 6th of October, Roland, is Cerebral Palsy Day. It's a day that's observed every year. And there are 17 million, if you look at the statistics here, there are 17 million people across the world living with cerebral palsy. Another 350 million people are closely connected to a child or adult with CP, they call it in short. It is the most common physical disability in childhood, and it's a permanent disability that affects movement. Its impact can range from weakness in one hand to almost a complete lack of voluntary movement. So it's good to know that some group is working towards it. Thanks, Albert Sorry, for bringing us details of that on a day when we observe cerebral palsy.